What is going on, everybody? This is your guy Joey Bikes from bmrmoto.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build your own personal mini moto out of a pit bike. So a lot of questions that I get is, how would I make those mag rims fit on my mini moto, and how would I get better braking and better suspension in order to race on the track? So this video is going to show you how I build my custom mini moto pit bikes and showing you the upgraded parts and other aftermarket parts that I use to make this bike actually come true. So starting off with the biggest thing and the main question is, how would I get mag rims to fit on a mini moto pit bike? So the biggest thing is the actual triple tree clamps that you're going to use. So most standard pit bikes come with 160 millimeter clamps. You're gonna need 165 millimeter clamps, or you can even go as far as to get 170 millimeter clamps, triple tree clamps for the bike. And the reason why is because with that extra width, you're gonna be able to fit these style rims and tires onto this pit bike. Another thing is too is knowing the geometry of the bike and knowing which suspension is going to work well and give you a good rake angle so that everything is matched up proportionately and that everything works right and that it doesn't look like a dirt bike versus actual mini moto perfectly leveled. So we're going to show you how we do the suspension. I'm going to be showing you the pit bike racing forks that I'm going to be using with the upgraded heavier springs and the heavier fork oil that I'm going to be using to get better suspension and control on the turns on the racetrack. And then our biggest weapon is this D&M rear shock. This D&M rear shock could support up to 1,000 pounds. And the reason why I got such a heavy shock is because on those sharp turns, you don't want any kind of bounce. And this shock has been used by me before, so I know the actual performance of it and it works very well. So we're going to be using that, and then we're going to be using this CRF 70 style pit bike frame that I had. Like this frame a lot, nice white frame. Then we matched it up with an aluminum style CRF 70 style pit bike swing arm. It's a lot lighter, it's very sturdy. I've used these before. And then we're going to be using 660 millimeter adjustable race forks with the heavier springs. For the engine, I'm going to be using a Daytona 150 4-valve engine. And then we're going to use a couple of other little goodies that I got up here and stuff. So the first thing I like to do when building these bikes is I like mocking them up. So I call this the mock-up phase. What I like to do is just put the main frame and the subframe together with the swing arm and the rear suspension. And then from there, I like to see if I have to do any adjustments. Normally, they use longer rear suspension and front suspension, but with the shorter suspension, I've used it before on another bike and it came out flawless. So the point is, you want to make it as close to the ground as possible. So this suspension and this front and rear suspension is actually really good for that, and it gives it a nice look too as well. So just showing you guys more or less the beginning phase. Is what I do is I start changing out all the hardware. I like changing for better hardware, so I know that this bike is going to stay intact, especially on the racetrack. That little red marks is from red Loctite. You want to make sure that you got yourself a bunch of red Loctite and blue Loctite, because you're going to have to Loctite a bunch of these bolts. Me, I use red along the frame. Anything that holds up anything major supportive, like the engine, your footing support, your rear suspension, your front suspension, you want to use that. Another thing too, get yourself a good pair of handlebars. It's always good to upgrade your bars. Upgrade almost everything on this bike if you can, which is what we do. So more or less, like I said, the biggest thing I get is, how do I make the mag rims work with the pit bike? The first thing you want to do is get yourself 160 millimeter triple tree clamps. That is this right here, these red bad boys. With those, you'll be able to fit these mag rims and accommodate them very perfectly. Slight alterations and slight adjustments will be made because of the caliber and the forks that I'm using. Nothing major, very simple, and I'm going to be showing that in the next video. So more or less just wanted to show you what I like to do when I'm beginning one of these pit bike builds. And this is pretty much it. I just like to get the main frame, subframe together, get a couple of parts on there, pretty much gauge where I'm gonna make some alterations, do any extra fittings for the bike in order to make this bike work. And then from there, I'll go on to basically doing the forks, getting the forks on. But before I get the forks on, I have to do a little minor adjustment on them because I'm gonna be using my infamous BMR 4-piston radial caliber, and I got some upgraded race pads that I'm gonna be using. Some nice brake pads that are gonna work perfect with that combination of caliber. So pretty much, I'm gonna show you guys how to alter that and make that fit. Then from there, once I got the forks on, then I'll get the mag rims on. These are 12-inch, 12 by 2.5 inch front rim and a 12 by 3.0 inch rear rim. Got the rim graphics on there. That's a 220 millimeter floating rotor. Got that nice red anodized rear sprocket on there. That sprocket. And then from there, we're gonna show you how to do all this stuff, like I said, once again, just showing you the parts. We're not gonna do this all in this video. Just wanted to bring you in and show you more or less some of the stuff that you're gonna need in order to make this bike work. So starting with either get a CRF 50 style frame or a CRF 70 style pit bike frame. Whatever frame you're gonna use, you're gonna need the 165 millimeter triple tree clamps. That's a must in order to make the mag rims work. And then from there, you're gonna need some really good suspension. So depending on what size frame you're gonna use, at the end of this video, you can ask me any kind of questions on what's the best front and rear suspension to use for any kind of bike build, and I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Just send me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll answer that question as soon as possible and stuff. So yeah, just wanted to bring you guys in, show you more or less what we're gonna be working on. The next phase is gonna showing you, like I said, how I get the forks on, how I get the wheels on, and what I'm gonna have to do in order to make the wheel fit, in order to make the brake caliber fit. That's gonna be all in the next video and stuff. So once again, it's gonna be a little brief, but we're gonna be breezing by and just showing you more or less what you're gonna need to do in order to make this bike work. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. And once again, stay tuned for the next video on how to finish up the rest of this bike. And this is your guy, Joey Bikes, signing out. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.